you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group. And it is time to stop doing what you hate. How's it going? Hopefully you are having a fantastic day as always. I think I'm having a decent day, but I needed to turn into a great day. Honestly, that's all on me. You know, when you wake up with a certain mindset that day. And, you know, it's kind of like that saying, what side of the bed did you get up on, right? And honestly, I get up on the same side of the bed every single day because my wife sleeps on one side, I sleep on the other. We don't sleep in separate beds. So I'm always getting up on the same side of the bed every single day. But the question is what is that attitude that I get up with? Do I get up with the attitude that today is going to be a great day? Or do I get up with the attitude that, man, I got to get up? I'm just grateful that I can get up and then go about my day doing the things I need to do to make a difference in the lives of other people. So about a day or two ago, I was driving home and, you know, sometimes I struggle to come up with things to talk to you folks about because, you know, I want to make sure it's something that's relevant. I want to make sure it's something that touches you in a way that propels you forward, or at least to get you thinking about stuff, headed in the right direction. I don't want to set anybody back. I just want to be a blessing to people that I touch, not a curse. My neighbor saw me at the gym and she said, I haven't seen you in a long time. She said, oh my God, it's great seeing you. I said, isn't it just like Christmas? I said, I want to be a gift. Okay. And so we just had a great time talking about stuff, current affairs, and, you know, all the different things that are going on in the world. But again, it's all about perspective, right? What are you looking at when you get up every single day? So I want to get into the show real quick and just kind of talk to you about something that I really want you to think about. I want you to sit down, grab a pen, grab a pad, and here's the thought that I want you to explore. I want you to go down the rabbit hole of this thought. And the title of today's show is, What Do I Have to Lose? Again, I'm going to say, what do I have to lose? And I deal with investments, and all investments do carry risk of loss. And so if you're going to invest, make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you understand your risk tolerance. Make sure you understand your time perspectives and horizons, and make sure you understand your goals and what you are attempting to do. I just had to put that disclosure out there because I mentioned the word investments. And since I'm an investment advisor or a fiduciary, I have a greater responsibility for what I say. If I'm not careful, I can get myself in a lot of hot water. But when we're talking about what do you have to lose, this is not talking about investing your money into the market and just hoping that it all works out. We're talking about a decision-making process that when you are faced with decisions that need to be made on a relatively quick fashion, you have to go into every single decision with one mindset. What is the ultimate outcome that I want out of this? And what is the worst thing that can happen by making this decision? You know, I think too many people make decisions without counting all the cost, right? You can call that a cost benefit analysis, CBA, or you can call it due diligence or whatever it might be. So I want to explore the mindset of, what do I have to lose? In other words, what's holding you back? Okay. What's holding you back from making the decisions that you need to make? And this is going to be real quick. And I'm just going to drop it on you because I think about this a lot, and I make decisions very quickly. I do not waste time when it comes to making a choice. I study a lot of stuff. I have a lot of data at my disposal. So it allows me to make decisions a lot faster. I really don't have to depend on other people and ask 20 people in order to decide what to do. Why? because I already know what it is that I want. And so the first thing I'm going to start with is when you're making decisions, who do you talk to about what you're attempting to do? Do you go to your friends and you ask them, okay, yo, Jimmy, like, what do you think I ought to do about this? Well, a lot of times you're asking people because a couple of different reasons. Number one, you already know what it is that you want. You just need some confirmation. You just need a warm and fuzzy that you are making the right choice. And that's human nature. But is it necessary? Is it necessary that you put yourself out there? Maybe sometimes you share things with friends unnecessarily that may cause friction and it may cause tension in your relationships. I've heard this happen before. People were great friends until all of a sudden one friend said something or is about to attempt something, and next thing you know, they're not friends anymore. Well, some people might say, well, that wasn't really a friend anyway. I understand that. But if you invested so much time into that relationship, hey, it might be worth thinking about what you're saying before you say it, or thinking about what you're sharing before you share it. Because ultimately, even if your friend gives you the warm and fuzzy and it turns out to be a bad decision, you can't go back to your friend and say, hey, man, this is all your fault because, hey, you should have told me not to do it. But again, you have to be very careful when you're including people in your decision making process. Number two, when you make your decisions, do you go to your family? Do you talk to your brother? Do you talk to your sister? Do you talk to your mom? Do you talk to your dad? Sometimes there's wisdom in talking to your parents about something that you're about to do, because a lot of times your parents, they have your best interest in mind. But again, if you're sharing with them something that is in an area that they're not well versed in, you probably don't want to talk to them about the specifics of the decision that you're about to make, but maybe things that are related to that, maybe things that are personal to you about that, because they know you, they raise you, they know how you think, they know what you're really all about. But sometimes they have biases, they have their own biases about things, that how they would do things. And so, I was sharing with someone, and I share this with people a lot, and they say, well, let me talk to so and so about this and see what they say. And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or anything like that. And sometimes people want to go back and check out of respect and different things like that. But the question I have for you is this: do you think the answer they're going to give you is going to be the most efficient way to do things? Or is it going to be what they feel comfortable with? And a lot of times it could be something that they just feel comfortable with. It's not the most efficient way, but it's what people are comfortable with. And so when you come at things with a mindset of what is it that I have to lose, what's the worst thing that can happen in this situation, and what's the best thing that can happen in this situation? If you can handle the worst case scenario, then no problem, go for it. But if you can't handle the worst case scenario, then you might want to pump the brakes on what it is that you're about to do. The next thing, what do you got to lose? Or what's holding you back? Is it finances? Counting the cost is important, but penny pinching, that's a whole different ballgame. A lot of times people hem and haw over 5 cents or $10 or $30. I can understand if you're talking about $150,000 or 10, 20, 30, 40,000. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what your level is, but sometimes we hem and haw over the wrong things, and we take too long to make our decisions, and then the opportunity slips by. And we might not ever see an opportunity like that again. I'll give an example of investing. So, and this kind of infuriates me a little bit, because people, they invest in the market when they think it's going good. That's not the time to buy stocks unless there's a pretty big upside on it. But you buy when the market is low. You buy stocks that are great value. You want to make sure they're priced right. And what do I mean by priced right? That's all left up to the analyst and the experts, and they look at what's priced right, and price right, and they have their own opinions, and they have their own valuations and what they think a stock is worth and stuff like that. It's like appraising an antique. One guy might come in and say, hey, man, this thing is worth $5. One guy might come in and say this thing is worth $50. One guy might come in and say this is worth 50,000, and one might come in and say this is worth 5 million. I'm sure the dispersion is not that great, but I'm just giving you an example. So back in 2008, when the market tanked or whatnot, and Apple lost, I think it was like 130%, like in 1 year. And then it turned around and gained like 130% the following year. That was pretty insane. Now, if you were in a buy and hold position, the key would have been to dollar cost average in on the way down, right? Just keep adding to it, adding to it, adding to it, adding to it, adding to it. If you were a buy and hold, some people would have said, why didn't you get me out at the top and then get me back in at the bottom? As if I had a crystal ball. Well, back then I wasn't doing what I'm doing right now back in '08. I was doing something totally different. We were dealing with safe money options and things like that, safe money choices, safe money strategies, using life insurance annuities and different things like that. It was much different, a much different ballgame back then than it is now. And since we created the rapid retire planning process, I encompass all of that into the strategy because it's just a much more efficient tool to use than the traditional things that are out there. And so if you would have bought the stock and held on to it and dollar cost averaged in, you would have been sitting in a very, very beautiful place right now. Over the past 2 years, we've been given similar opportunities, but it just astounds me how many people are constantly parking their cash on the sideline because they think that the world is going to end. And they could be right, but what do you have to lose? If the world's going to end, you got much greater things to think about than that. Because if it is going to end, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't stop it. You don't have a cape. The only thing you do is plan for the worst and believe for the best. That's what's in our control. I've had some people say, Harold, you know what? Yeah, buy me some gold, buy me some precious metals. I'm just going to take my money and buy gold and sit on gold. And because if anything happens, at least I have gold. I said, well, if you're going to buy gold, you better make sure you buy some guns. I'm not kidding you. Because think about it like this. If we ever get back into a situation where you got to go into your closet and get the gold that you're hiding to go to the grocery store to buy a loaf of bread, I guarantee you somebody's going to be watching you buy that bread. Because if things are so bad at that point, we're in a horrible situation. It's going to be like martial law, whatever it might be, where people are just going to start taking matters into their own hands. And if they see, people need to eat and they see you buying bread, guess what? They're going to rob you. They're going to chase you down, go back to your house, and they're going to get all your gold. Or else they're going to. I mean, this is how crazy and absurd that thinking is, and that's why it just bothers me when people begin to go that low in their line of thinking about how bad and how horrible things can get. But you have certain opportunities that are handed to you when the market is down to take advantage of these things. And it may be a little ugly for a little bit. You might be a little early to the party, right? You show up a little early and things aren't going right. The stock may go down, it may go up, it may trade sideways, or it may be range bound for a little bit. But over time, things will turn around unless you're just buying garbage companies, which a lot of them are out there with these IPOs that are not worth anything today. But guess what? The guys who came out with these IPOs, they cashed in when the average consumer bought in. And these guys are in the wind with their money, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you got to be very careful, when you're buying into stuff like that. Making decisions, hard decisions. What is it that you have to lose? What's holding you back? Is it your fitness level? Are you tired all the time? I read something the other day. A buddy of mine sent me this book, and every day it has words of wisdom to live by. And it gives you like the scripture and stuff, right? And it just kind of talks to you about real life. And it was saying that you're not just going to get anywhere you want to get to without putting any effort behind it. And if you're dealing with a problem, it said that you already know the solution to this problem. The problem is you're just not being consistent in applying the actions that will bring about the change. And man, that thing hit me upside the head like a big baseball bat, right? I think I'm down almost 100 or at least 100 pounds from where I used to be. And I have another, I think 20, 30 pounds that I want to lose. And so I said to myself, like, look, dude, You already know what it is that you need to do in order to lose the rest of this weight. Like, what is it that's holding you back? Like, what do you got to lose? Right? Yeah, you want to eat your favorite foods from time to time. Yeah, that's fine. But what's holding you back from being consistent on a day in and day out basis? What's holding you back from getting up in the morning and sowing seed and taking care of yourself first? What's holding you back? Right? What's stopping you? Because this thing that's stopping you here is going to be stopping you on a whole nother level. Is it the fitness that's holding you back? The next thing I'm going to get into is your faith. Is it your belief system that's holding you back? Like, what is it that you have to lose? Like, you know, what's so hard about believing that you can achieve something? What's so hard about believing that you can make a difference? What's so hard about making, having the belief that you can change things can get better for you? What's so hard about that? What is it that you have to lose? Like, what is it that you think you're going to lose? Is it a relationship? Is it, making a family member upset about it? Is it you might lose money? What is it that you have to lose? Count these costs. The next one is it your fortitude? Is it the fact that you're afraid? Are you scared? A lot of times we know what it is that we need to do. We're just scared to do it. We're just scared to take that leap. Why? Because we don't know where we're going to land. We don't know what it's like. But here's the thing that I'm going to say to you. You just have to work it out. You just have to work it out. Think about the worst thing that can happen if you make that move. And then if it goes bad the way you think or the way you thought it would, like, just say the worst thing happened. How do you get back up? What is it going to take to get back up and recover and to get back at it again? So these are the things that I wanted to share with you, because a lot of times when you think you have a lot to lose, a lot of times you don't. Sometimes you have less to lose than you think you have to lose. And my attitude has changed a lot. And a friend of mine, and we talk about it and we say, look, man, if this is our last day on planet Earth, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm sad at the thought that my family would be sad, but I believe, honestly, I would be in a better place than I am right now. That's just my thought process. So I don't live every day like, I want to enjoy life forever kind of thing. And that's why you do your best to live in the moment, and you do your best to live with no regrets. So therefore, you don't have anything to lose. If you live with no regrets, you don't feel like you have something to lose. You don't feel that way. You don't feel like you're going to be missing anything. So I just wanted to share this with you. And whenever you're making decisions, this is the kind of mindset that I want you to kind of think about your difficult decisions in this light, because I've had to make some very tough decisions. And I asked myself, well, what if I lost this? And what if I lost that? And more so than anything, it was more my wife who had more of these thoughts than I did, because she's the accountant. She counts cost, and she's like, well, if you lose this and this doesn't happen right and that doesn't happen right, then the whole ball of wax, like the whole ball just unraveled right there. She unraveled everything within a 5-minute thought process time frame. Like everything just came apart. And it was already like, oh, wow, we shouldn't do this because, wow, all of these things could happen. I say, honey, look, you got to stop that right there. You cannot think worst case scenario all the time. You got to think, if these things happen, how do you recover? And I gave her the answer. I said, if these things happen the way you think, guess what? This is what we do to fix it. It's just a matter of not being lazy, not being afraid, being willing to put in the extra work, being willing to put in the time to get it back on track. I done gone through a lot of stuff in my life. I can't say all of it because it's not the place right now. But every single time I've had to get back up again. And if I didn't get back up if I didn't get back up after all these things happen, guess where I'd be? I'd be in a mental institution right now, because I've gone through enough stuff that'll make the average person crazy. It'll make you freaking insane. But you know what? You get up. You might cry, right? You might get punched in the throat, punched in the face, kicked in the butt, but you get up and you dust yourself off and you get back at it again, because what is it that you have to lose? You'll lose everything if you don't get up and try again. Okay. And you don't want to get to that spot. And so down the road, I'm going to do a show titled, Are You Checked In or Checked Out? Because I see a lot of people walking around today that are completely and utterly checked out. They have checked out completely. And I'll share more about that and that has a big impact on our society, and it has a big impact on our finances, and because we're all interconnected one way or the other. But I just wanted to share that with you today. And if you're having to make a difficult decision or a difficult choice, and you don't know who to talk to about it, if it's financial in nature, give me a call, get on my schedule, and then we can just kind of talk through some scenarios or whatnot. And then if there's anything I can do for you, whether you become a client or not, I don't care. As a matter of fact, right now I'm only taking on clients by referral, but I am willing to talk to people and just kind of lend an ear, and then just give people tips and pointers and stuff like that, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like not knowing what to do. I know what it's like not knowing where to turn. I know what it's like when you feel like giving up and you don't know what else to do. I know what that is like. I faced that more times than you can imagine. But you know what? We progress. We move forward. And I just wanted to share that with you today. So until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.